She doesn't chase the guy who gives her everything. She chases the one who makes her feel like she could lose him. Most men don't want to hear that. But deep down they've felt it. You do everything you think is right. You show interest. You stay available. You try to be honest, loyal, consistent. And still she backs off. The energy shifts. Suddenly you're overthinking every message. You're wondering why she doesn't text first. You're wondering why it feels like she's slipping away. And the worst part, you start blaming yourself, thinking maybe you were too soft, maybe not confident enough, maybe not attractive enough. But the truth cuts deeper. It's not about how good of a man you are. It's about how much of your power you gave away. This video is not just about making her chase you. It's about understanding what really makes a woman feel drawn to a man. Not for a moment, but obsessively, consistently. And it has nothing to do with games or tricks. It has everything to do with how you hold your frame, your presence, and your silence. If you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting, this video is going to change the way you show up in every relationship from this day forward. Let's get into it. Number 1. Stop giving her free attention. Every man's been here. You meet a woman who lights something up in you. She's attractive, warm, responsive. You feel a spark, so you follow it. You start texting her first. Every morning, every night. You double tap every photo. You reply fast. You're available, present, consistent. You think you're doing everything right, but slowly she pulls away. She starts replying later. One-word answers. That natural flow you had starts to feel forced. You wonder what changed. The hard truth. Nothing changed. You did exactly what most men do. You gave away your attention like it was nothing, and once she realized she didn't have to earn it, it stopped feeling valuable. Let me tell you about Scott. He's 48, owns a small business in Denver, recently divorced after a 20-year marriage, started dating again, met a woman named Claire, 42, through friends. She was fun, confident, and loved the attention he gave her. At first, Scott would message her every morning before his meetings. He sent her playlists, liked everything she posted, bought her coffee without asking. He thought he was building connection. What he was really doing was overfeeding the system. Claire didn't have to do anything to get his attention. She never had to earn it. It was just there on tap. And anything that comes without effort eventually gets ignored. See, attention isn't affection, it's currency. And just like money, the more you print, the less it's worth. In Stoic thinking, control of self comes before influence over others. Epictetus said, "He who seeks wisdom must first control himself." That includes your impulses, the need to reach out, to be noticed, to seek approval. When your attention is given without intention, it becomes noise. But when you make a woman earn it, it becomes reward. It becomes power. I'm not saying ignore her. I'm saying stop throwing value at someone who hasn't shown she can hold it. Don't compliment her just because she exists. Don't text her just because you're bored. Don't reach out just because it's been a while and you're feeling uncertain. When you center your attention around her, she becomes the Sunday, and the moment she feels she can orbit without effort, she'll stop noticing your light. Back to Scott. After talking with a friend who'd been through the same thing, he did something most guys never do. He stopped texting first. No drama, no games. He just went quiet, focused on his business, spent time outdoors, reconnected with his daughter. 2 days later, Claire messaged him, "Hey, haven't heard from you in a while." That's how fast the balance can shift. Because mystery creates tension, and tension drives attraction. Women chase what feels just out of reach, not what's always within arm's length. So, if you're giving her your attention like it's free samples at a grocery store, stop, withdraw, refocus. Make her feel the absence of what she once took for granted. Let her earn your attention. Let her wonder why it stopped. Let her feel the weight of it again. If this hits home, if you've been there, drop a comment below and claim your shift. I protect my power, and don't go anywhere. What I'm about to show you next is something most men overlook completely, and it's the one behavior that silently kills attraction faster than anything else. You're not going to want to miss it. Number 2. Attraction lives in your silence. Silence makes her feel. Words make her safe. Most men don't understand this. They think silence equals danger. That if you're not talking, not texting, not engaging, she'll lose interest. That another guy will step in and take your place. That you'll be forgotten. So you talk, you text, you explain, you over-communicate. Not because you have something meaningful to say, but because the silence makes you anxious. But here's the twist. That silence you fear, that's exactly where the attraction begins. For a woman to feel something, she needs space. Space to imagine, to question, to miss. If every second is filled with you trying to stay present, there's no room for tension. And without tension, there's no pull. Silence isn't absence. It's energy. It says, I don't chase validation. It says I'm grounded. It says I trust my presence, even when I'm not in the room. That kind of silence draws her in because it creates uncertainty. Not the toxic kind, the magnetic kind. The kind that makes her wonder if she's the one chasing now. The Stoics knew the weight of restraint. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The same goes for energy in relationships. We waste it trying to maintain control through constant contact, when in fact real control comes from letting go. Silence doesn't mean ignoring her. It means refusing to over-explain yourself. It means allowing space to speak louder than words. Think about how attraction actually works. It builds in the unknown. It grows in the gaps. If you're constantly explaining how you feel, what you want, and why you're distant, she doesn't have to think. She doesn't have to feel. You're managing her experience, and that's not attractive. That's predictable. The man who can stay calm in silence is the man who radiates strength. But silence isn't just powerful when things are uncertain. It's just as effective when things are going well, when she's showing interest, when she's being sweet. That's when most men go all in. They respond immediately. They say too much. They tip the balance. What if you didn't? What if you held your frame even when she was leaning in? What if you let the tension build instead of releasing it? That's when she starts to feel something deeper, something she can't name. And that mystery is what keeps her engaged. Here's the truth you won't hear in most places. When you move in silence, she starts listening harder. She watches more closely. She leans in, not because you pulled her, but because the silence opened the space for her to move toward you. So the next time your fingers are itching to type something, pause. Don't act on impulse. Don't break the silence just to prove you care. Let her miss you. Let her feel your absence. Let her start the next move. If this resonates with you, if you've been that man who always filled the silence and watched the connection fade, drop this in the comments. I move in silence, and stay close. Because the next shift we're going into is something that challenges every instinct a man has when he finally gets her attention, and most don't even realize they're pushing her away. Number 3. Act like she's not special. This one makes a lot of men uncomfortable, because for years we've been taught to win women by putting them first. Compliment them constantly. Drop everything for them. Make them feel like they're the most incredible thing that's ever happened to us. But here's the problem. When you treat her like she's special too soon before she's shown you anything of real value, you remove the tension. You remove the mystery, and you give away the frame. Let me tell you about Mike. He's 52, runs a successful auto repair shop in Ohio, divorced for 5 years. Steady guy, stoic mindset. A quiet type who's done a lot of self-reflection since his marriage ended. Recently, he met Vanessa, 46, at a wine tasting event. She was sharp, confident, stylish, everything he hadn't felt in a long time. They had a good conversation, so Mike followed up, took her out to dinner, told her how rare she was, said she was unlike anyone he'd ever met. He sent her flowers the next day, cleared his weekend just in case she wanted to meet up again. But something shifted. Vanessa's energy cooled. Her replies got shorter. A few days later, she hit him with the classic line, "I'm not really feeling the connection." Mike was stunned. He thought he'd done everything right. But here's what actually happened. He gave too much too soon. He treated her like she was the prize without ever seeing if she actually was. Most men do this out of instinct, out of hope, out of fear that if they don't impress her fast enough, they'll lose their chance. But here's the twist. When you treat her like she's not special, you give her something rare. You give her the challenge she doesn't know she craves. Not by being rude, not by being distant, but by being composed. You're not buying into the hype. You're watching. You're observing. You're seeing if her actions match the energy she brings. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That includes being a man who doesn't hand out admiration just because a woman looks good in a dress. You're not here to convince her that she's valuable. You're here to see if her values align with yours. That's what flips the power dynamic. When you act like she's not special, when you treat her like a human being, not a goddess, she feels something different. Something she rarely gets from men. She feels the urge to prove herself. Mike learned this the hard way. But a few weeks later, he met someone else. Natalie, 43. Same kind of first impression. Beautiful, smart, magnetic. But this time, Mike didn't rush in. He stayed cool, kind but grounded. No over-the-top compliments, no rearranged schedule. He kept his standards. And what happened? Natalie chased him. She initiated conversations. She leaned in. Because Mike didn't pedestal her, he made her earn his interest. That's the lesson. You don't attract women by elevating them. You attract them by elevating yourself and letting them rise to meet you. So if you're tired of being the guy who gives too much and gets left wondering what happened, it's time to change the story. Start with this. Don't assume she's different. Let her show you. Let her prove she's worth your time, your effort, your energy. Not because you're arrogant, because you respect yourself. If you feel that shift already happening, drop it in the comments. I set the standard. And listen, what comes next is when things get real. It's the moment she realizes she's not as in control as she thought. And that's when the chase flips completely. Number 4. Let her wonder where you went. There's a moment that flips the entire dynamic, and most men never give it the chance to happen. It's that moment when she notices your absence. When she pauses in the middle of her day, checks her phone and thinks, "Where is he?" That's not a loss. That's leverage. You see, attention is currency. And when you go quiet on purpose, you control the flow. You create a vacuum. And that vacuum pulls her in harder than any message ever could. The average guy doesn't get this. He thinks if he disappears, she'll move on. That if he's not constantly showing up, she'll forget about him. So he stays in the loop, sends check-in texts, drops likes on every story, makes sure she never wonders too long. But that's exactly why she doesn't feel the need to chase. When your presence is predictable, it stops being exciting. Stoic wisdom speaks to this kind of restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. You can't control how she reacts, but you can control your presence, your energy, your willingness to step back and trust what space can do." This doesn't mean vanishing in anger. It's not about punishing her. It's about creating contrast. Because here's what happens when you step back just enough she starts remembering. She replays the way you looked at her, the tone of your voice. She scrolls through old texts, trying to pick apart the last few interactions, wondering if she said something wrong, wondering if she lost your interest, wondering if she imagined the connection. And the second she starts wondering, that's when you've entered her head. That's when she starts chasing. Silence isn't empty, it's full of weight, but only if you're grounded enough to hold it. A man who can remove his attention without explanation is rare, not because he's cold, but because he's centered. He doesn't seek reassurance. He doesn't need to be seen every hour of the day. He lets presence speak louder than effort. And here's the truth, if she doesn't notice your absence, you just learned everything you needed to know. Let her wonder where you went. Let her feel the shift. Because when you pull away, not out of insecurity but out of discipline, you invite her to come closer. Now, if you've been watching these videos and you're serious about becoming the kind of man women remember, you don't have to do this alone. Our members-only community is built for men like you. Inside we go deeper, weekly exclusive videos, real-time Q, and as live call replays, breakdowns of real-world scenarios. No fluff, just straight tactics. Stoic insight and grounded masculinity designed for men who want more than just theory. If you're ready to stop playing catch-up and start owning the frame, click the join button. Step into a space where men don't chase validation, they build presence. Because power doesn't come from being louder, it comes from knowing when to disappear. If you're that kind of man, or becoming him, drop this in the comments. I move without warning. Stick around, because what comes next separates the men who get remembered from the ones who get replaced. Number 5. Reward effort, not beauty. Let's make something clear. There's nothing wrong with appreciating beauty. Every man notices it. Every man feels drawn to it. But if you're rewarding a woman for her looks before she's shown any effort, you're giving away your power without a fight. Because beauty is common. Effort isn't. And high-value men know how to tell the difference. Take Derek, 45, a real estate broker from Phoenix. He's smart, steady, carries himself with quiet confidence. He recently met Lacey, 41, at a friend's birthday dinner. Lacey was stunning, the kind of woman who walks into a room and owns it without saying a word. Most guys would have folded on the spot. But Derek, he stayed grounded. They talked. Light conversation. She was charming. Told him she liked men who led with strength, not words. Derek smiled, nodded, and kept it short. No overpraising. No chasing. He let her finish her wine and walked away politely. That moment flipped the dynamic. Lacey wasn't used to it. She expected more from him, not because he was rude, but because he didn't validate her the way other men did. And hours later it was she who walked across the room to re-engage. Why? Because Derek didn't reward her looks. He made her earn his deeper attention. Most guys flip the script too fast. A woman walks in, she's beautiful, and suddenly he's offering himself like a prize package, laughing louder, leaning in, offering compliments that she didn't ask for and didn't earn. But here's the thing, she already knows she's beautiful. She's heard it from 1,000 mouths. She's seen it in every like, every swipe, every double tap. She doesn't need more. What does make her pause is effort, character, depth. A man who rewards her consistency more than her curves. A man who notices the way she shows up on time, the way she listens when others talk, the way she remembers details and rewards that with a comment. Not the way her hair falls over her shoulder. That man becomes rare. And rare men are irresistible. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, your response reveals your standard. When your automatic reaction to beauty is praise, you show that you're ruled by impulse. But when your reaction is calm observation, and you wait to see who she really is, you show control, power, standards. That's what Derek did. When Lacey texted him a few days later asking to grab lunch, he agreed. But he still didn't roll out the red carpet. He watched. She was on time. She asked thoughtful questions. She didn't dominate the conversation, she contributed. And that's when he rewarded her. Not with some line about her eyes, but with a direct compliment. "You're really grounded." That's rare. It landed because it was real. Here's the takeaway: don't throw away your value just because someone looks good. Let beauty catch your eye, but let effort hold your attention. You're not here to feed egos. You're here to build real connection, and that only starts when you reward what matters. If that's the standard you're holding from now on, let it be known in the comments. I reward effort. And don't move just yet. What's coming next exposes a behavior most men fall into by default, and it quietly erodes everything they built without them even noticing. Number 6. Don't explain your distance. The moment you start explaining why you went quiet, why you didn't text back, or why you needed space, you dilute your strength. You give away something that was powerful simply because it made her wonder. Distance is one of the few things that naturally builds tension. It introduces mystery. It gives her space to reflect on how much of your attention she actually had and whether she earned it. But most men can't hold the silence. They get one message from her that sounds a little off, or they feel her energy drop, and suddenly they're typing out paragraphs. "Hey, sorry if I seem distant. Just had a lot going on. Didn't mean anything by it." What you're really saying is, "I hope you didn't take that personally. Please don't pull away. I still want your approval." And the worst part, she wasn't even thinking that deeply. But now she is. Now you've planted a seed that says, "This guy second guesses himself." Stoicism gives you a better answer. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." In relationships, that suffering often shows up as insecurity, the fear that silence will be misread. That space will be seen as disinterest. So men overcorrect. They overcommunicate. They explain. They try to manage perception instead of standing firm in intention. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone a breakdown of your boundaries. If you're going quiet because you need time, take it. If you're pulling back to regain clarity, do it. If her energy felt off and you decided not to force anything, stand by it. You are not her emotional babysitter. You are a man managing his focus. And when she feels that, not hears you explain it but feels it, she starts paying attention in a different way. Silence becomes your language. And only those tuned into your frequency will understand what it means. The men who get chased are the ones who know how to go quiet without guilt, without apology, without a 3-sentence disclaimer. They know that if she's interested, she'll lean in. And if she's not, then the silence did its job. It revealed the truth. Because here's the deal, women don't trust men who second-guess their own energy. If you're confident enough to walk away, be confident enough to stay gone for a while. Let her sit with it. Let her process. Let her reach out first. And if she does, you'll know it wasn't out of pressure. It was genuine. There's nothing colder than a man who vanishes with no emotional mess. Just calm. Just space. And when she comes looking for answers, you don't have to give her a script. You just let your presence or lack of it do the talking. You didn't disappear to hurt her. You didn't go silent to punish. You simply stopped performing. And sometimes that's all it takes to shift the balance. So if you're done over-explaining your piece, your pace, your presence, say it in the comments. I hold the frame. Stick around. What's next exposes a hidden trap that even self-aware men fall into. And it could be the one thing that's silently killing your attraction without you realizing it. Number 7. Let her feel replaced. This one hits a nerve. Because most guys don't want to play that card. They don't want to look like they've moved on too fast. They're afraid she'll think they never cared. But here's the twist. When you're no longer available like you used to be, and she sees you doing just fine, maybe even better, that hits her deeper than any text ever could. Let's talk about Brian. He's 50, owns a chain of hardware stores in Texas. Divorced for a couple of years recently, got back into dating. He met April, 46, a school administrator, smart, classy, gorgeous. They had a great run. 6 months of long dinners, weekend getaways, real connection, until she started pulling back. Slower replies, less effort. The classic signs. Brian didn't beg. He didn't chase. He didn't ask, "What's wrong?" He let it fade. But he didn't fade with it. He got busy, joined a boxing gym, started taking more trips with his buddies, showed up at community events, and yes, eventually he started dating again. He posted one photo at a concert with a new woman, not overly flirty, not trying to show off. Just a man enjoying his life. Guess who messaged him 2 days later? April. The message wasn't about jealousy. It wasn't even about the girl. It was about the replacement. The realization that the energy she used to get from Brian was now going somewhere else. That's what stings. When a woman starts feeling your absence, not just emotionally but socially, energetically, physically, she's forced to confront something primal. She's not the center of your world anymore. And when that realization sets in, it activates curiosity. It triggers insecurity. But most of all, it reactivates attraction. Now, the Stoics wouldn't call this playing games. They'd call it moving forward. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, don't fight the ending. Use it. Let it propel you into growth. You're not replacing her to get revenge. You're replacing her energy with something that serves you better. You're letting her feel the shift without having to explain it. No drama, no cold messages, just life continuing. And here's the key, don't fake it. Don't post just to get attention. Actually build a life that makes her irrelevant. When your life expands beyond her, she'll notice. Whether she says it or not, she'll feel it. Build your health, improve your presence, deepen your network. Do the things you used to delay because of her. You're not just replacing a woman, you're replacing the role she held in your life. And you're doing it with purpose. You don't have to be cruel, you just have to be occupied, busy with goals, driven by self-respect, consumed by something bigger than the relationship. Brian didn't try to rub it in. He just lived. And in doing so, he let April feel the truth. She had a window, and it closed. Let her feel replaced. Not because you need to hurt her, but because you're not afraid of moving on. And the more you rise without needing her in your orbit, the more powerful your presence becomes, because now it's not for sale. If you're done waiting and ready to take back control, drop it in the comments. I don't wait. Keep watching. The next move is subtle but dangerous. It's the mistake nice guys make without even realizing, and it kills attraction faster than anything else. Number 8. Keep your frame during intimacy. It's the part most men completely forget about. They work hard to build attraction, to set boundaries, to play it cool, but the moment they get intimate, everything collapses. All the discipline, all the calm, all the power gone. And in that moment, they give away the very energy that made her attracted in the first place. Here's what most guys don't realize. Intimacy isn't just about physical connection. It's about energy, polarity. And your frame, your masculine presence, is what gives her the safety to surrender. Not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically. But if you lose that frame, the second things get vulnerable, she will feel it. Even if she doesn't say it, you can't fake it here. A man who can hold his ground when clothes come off is a man who truly understands control, not controlling her but himself. When you chase validation through intimacy, when you're looking for approval in her reactions, in her compliments, in her affection, you turn what should be powerful into something needy. And the second she senses you're trying to win her during sex, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer the prize, you're the performer. Stoic wisdom fits here better than you think. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You cannot control her approval, her pleasure, her emotions. What you can control is how grounded you remain when everything gets real, because intimacy is a test. It's the moment she subconsciously scans for security. She notices how present you are, how you handle pressure, whether you lose yourself or stay calm, composed, masculine, and most importantly, whether you're doing it for you or for her validation. This doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean withholding affection or being emotionally distant. It means staying rooted in your presence. Knowing your worth isn't up for negotiation, even in the most vulnerable moments. A man who keeps his frame during intimacy doesn't collapse into compliments afterward. He doesn't panic if she seems quiet. He doesn't chase reassurance. He knows the moment speaks for itself, and if she felt something real, she'll stay connected. If she didn't, he's okay with that too. He doesn't suddenly start overthinking the relationship or treating her differently the next morning. He remains who he was before, during, and after. And you want to know the irony? The more you hold that calm, strong energy, the more she opens up. Because now you're not demanding anything. You're not trying to earn anything. You're just being solid, still, and centered. That's rare. So many men rush through intimacy like they're trying to prove something. But what really proves your worth is how little you feel the need to prove it. Keep your pace slow. Keep your energy clean. Stay in control of your breath, your body, your mindset. Because the truth is, any man can chase a high, but only a grounded man can turn that moment into something she remembers. And when you walk away from intimacy with the same peace you walked into it with, you show her something she's rarely seen before. A man who doesn't lose himself to pleasure. That sticks. If you're done using intimacy as a way to feel wanted and ready to use it as a way to stay grounded, say it in the comments. I stay grounded. Stay sharp. What's next is the final shift. And if you've made it this far, it means you're ready to learn the difference between being impressive and being unforgettable. Number 9. Crave solitude more than sex. This is where most men fall off. Because, let's be honest, sex is a powerful driver. It's wired deep into male biology. But the man who learns to crave solitude more than sex becomes a different breed. A rare one, and women feel that. Not through your words, but through your vibe, your restraint, your choices. Let me tell you about Scott. He's 44, a divorced father of 2 from Colorado, works in finance. He spent years chasing female validation. After his divorce, it was like a switch flipped. Dating apps, texting late, weekend hookups. It gave him a rush until it didn't. He told me once, I felt emptier after most dates than I did before I left the house. That's when he started doing something most guys avoid. He stayed home, not out of depression, not out of bitterness, out of discipline. He picked up hiking again, started journaling, cut back on social media. He even took a solo trip to the Pacific Northwest. No distractions, no games, just nature and time to think. And guess what happened? Women noticed. His texts weren't instant anymore. His energy wasn't thirsty. His presence was different. He wasn't chasing, he was choosing. One woman he dated, Rachel, 39, a yoga instructor, said it best. You're the first man I've met who doesn't need me to make him feel complete. That's the shift. When solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your punishment, you become powerful. Not because you don't want women, but because you don't need them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That quote lives in the core of every Stoic man who gets this. Solitude sharpens you. It brings your thoughts into focus. It resets your nervous system. It reminds you of your values, your goals, your pace. And when you walk back into the world from that place, not needing, not chasing, you carry a different weight. Women can sense when a man would trade his peace for a moment of pleasure, and they can sense when a man values his peace more than anything they could offer. That's rare and deeply attractive. Scott didn't become celibate, he just became selective, because now connection had to add to his life, not drain it. And that's what this is really about. When you crave solitude more than sex, it means you've taken full ownership of your energy. You've stopped outsourcing your self-worth to another body. You've stopped proving something and started preserving something. You are no longer a man chasing his next dopamine hit. You're a man protecting the one thing women respect most, your internal stability. And ironically, that's when they start chasing you. Because a man who can sit in his own silence without fidgeting, without needing validation, that man is unpredictable. And unpredictability is magnetic. If you've ever felt like you were giving too much, chasing too hard, or losing yourself just to stay desired, it's time to pull back, not to manipulate, to evolve. The man who's comfortable alone is the one she thinks about when she's alone, because deep down she knows that man doesn't just want peace, he is peace. And when you embody that, you stop playing games. You start setting the rules. If you're stepping into that space or want to own it in the comments, I protect my peace. Keep watching. The final truth is coming. And once you see it clearly, you'll never chase the same way again. Number 10. She chases what she fears losing. Let's wrap this up with the deepest truth of all. Attraction isn't just about what you offer, it's about what you can take away. Women don't chase men who are constantly available, always waiting, endlessly proving themselves. They chase men who have something rare, something valuable, and something they're not afraid to walk away with. It's not manipulation, it's gravity. The moment she senses that you value yourself more than you value her approval, the dynamic changes. When she truly feels that losing you would cost her something real, that's when the chase begins. Not because you made her insecure, but because you activated something ancient, something instinctive. Women chase what they fear losing. Let that sink in. And this isn't about playing hard to get. This is about being hard to replace. Most guys confuse attention with value. They think if they give more, share more, confess more, they'll win her over. But that only works in fairy tales. In reality, mystery creates magnetism, discipline builds depth, and detachment, when done right, isn't cold, it's powerful. See, when a man shows that he has options but isn't desperate, he commands respect. When he can be deeply present but still willing to walk away, she doesn't see him as needy, she sees him as whole. As someone who can't be owned, only appreciated. That's rare. Let me break it down for you. When she doesn't know exactly where she stands with you, but not because you're hot and cold, but because you're stable and unbothered, it creates tension. And tension in attraction is everything. Think about it, we value what we believe we could lose, not what's handed to us every time we reach out. When she senses that your attention is earned, not owed, she moves different. She replies faster. She checks your social media more. She dresses up when she sees you. She feels that your presence isn't guaranteed. And that alone creates a craving. Now let's tie this back to Stoicism. Seneca wrote, "A wise man is content with himself." That doesn't mean he's isolated or indifferent. It means he doesn't live and die by external opinions. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't cling. And because of that, he's powerful. That's the energy women chase. Not loud, not aggressive, just certain. Certain of his own value, certain of his direction, certain of what he will and won't tolerate. So here's the key: don't chase not because it's a tactic, but because you genuinely understand your worth. Don't pull back to provoke her. Pull back to protect your peace. When she realizes that your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee, that's when you flip the script. Suddenly you're not auditioning anymore. You're deciding. Suddenly, she's not analyzing what you think of her, she's wondering how to stay in your world. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove anything. Just be the man who doesn't fear loss. Be the man who can let go without breaking down. Because when she sees that you're not clinging, not begging, not trying to convince her, but still calm, still composed, still grounded, that's what pulls her back. That's what triggers the chase. And here's the truth. No one wants to admit the moment you stop needing her to choose you is usually the moment she starts doing exactly that. You want to change the game, then stop making her the prize. Make your time the prize. Make your peace the prize. Make your energy the thing she has to earn, not the thing you throw at anyone who smiles your way. Because if she knows you won't hesitate to walk away, she'll never stop trying to stay close. She chases what she fears losing. That's not a game. That's human nature. And now you understand it. That's it, man. Now you see what really makes her chase. It's not gifts, not sweet words, not begging for her attention. It's your energy, your discipline, your presence. You've just walked through 10 shifts that most men never even think about. 10 truths grounded in psychology, in Stoic wisdom, and in raw human nature. And if you really take this in, if you apply even half of what you heard today, you won't have to chase again. Because women feel it when you've done the inner work. They feel it when you're calm in chaos, when you're silent in drama, when you know your worth with or without their approval. That's what separates boys trying to impress from men who leave a mark. If this resonated with you, if you're serious about leveling up not just in relationships but in life, consider becoming a channel member. That's where the deeper work happens, the real stuff. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. New insights like this every single day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.